Welcome back to Hollow Street, where every home has a story and some stories are buried deeper than others. Tonight, we're heading to the quiet suburbs of Maple Creek, to a house that held a secret far bigger than anyone could have imagined. Meet the Miller family, Tom, Sarah, and their two kids. In 2018, they bought their dream home, a charming two-story colonial built in the late 1950s. It had a big backyard, a cozy fireplace, and a finished basement perfect for a playroom. For 3 years, life was idyllic. The biggest problem they faced was a leaky faucet. That all changed one cold November morning. The furnace was acting up, making a strange clanking noise. Tom, being a pretty handy guy, went down to the basement to take a look. The furnace was tucked away in a small utility closet in the corner of the basement. As he squeezed past the water heater to get a better look, he noticed something odd. The back wall of the closet wasn't solid drywall like the rest. It was a section of old, dark wood paneling that didn't match anything else in the house. It looked almost like a hidden door. Curiosity got the better of him. He pushed on the paneling, and to his surprise, it swung inward with a low groan, revealing a pitch-black space beyond. His first thought was that it was just a small, forgotten storage nook. But when he shone his phone's flashlight inside, the beam didn't hit a back wall. Instead, it illuminated the top of a narrow, steep staircase leading down into utter darkness. Tom was stunned. This wasn't on the blueprints. He had studied the building plans when they bought the house. It clearly showed a single basement level built on a solid concrete slab. There was no sub-basement, no cellar, nothing below the foundation. Yet here it was, a staircase to nowhere. He called Sarah down, her initial excitement quickly turning to unease. Who builds a secret staircase and just walls it up? The air wafting up from the opening was cold and musty, carrying an earthy smell like damp soil and something else. Something faintly metallic and unsettling. Against their better judgment, they decided to investigate. Tom grabbed a heavy-duty flashlight from the garage, and together, they cautiously descended the creaking wooden steps. The staircase was steeper than it looked, and the air grew colder and heavier with each step down. It felt like they were descending much deeper than a single story. They counted 12 steps, and then their feet hit a dirt floor. They were in a small, windowless room, no bigger than a walk-in closet. The walls were rough, exposed earth, held back by decaying wooden supports. The air was thick with the smell of damp earth and rot. In the center of the room was a single, rickety wooden chair facing a wall. And on the floor next to the chair, a small, rusted metal box. This was no ordinary cellar. It felt wrong. The room was unnervingly silent, the kind of silence that feels heavy and oppressive. Sarah pointed the flashlight beam around the small space. There were strange, deep scratches in the dirt walls, as if an animal had tried to claw its way out. But the scratches were too uniform, almost like tally marks. Tom's attention was fixed on the metal box. It was an old-fashioned lockbox, the kind you might see in an old movie. It was locked, of course. A wave of dread washed over him. Part of him wanted to just turn around, go back up the stairs, and seal the wall up forever. Forget they ever saw this. But another part, the part that drives all of us to uncover secrets, needed to know what was inside. They brought the box upstairs, into the brightly lit safety of their kitchen. The contrast was jarring. One minute they were in a dark, cold hole under their house. The next they were back in their normal lives. But things didn't feel normal anymore. The house felt different, heavier. After trying a few keys that didn't work, Tom decided to pry the box open. The old metal groaned in protest before the lid finally popped open. Inside, nestled on a bed of faded velvet, were not jewels or money, but a collection of strange, disturbing items. There was a small, hand-carved wooden doll with yarn for hair, its button eyes seeming to stare right through them. Next to it lay a single, child-sized leather shoe, worn and scuffed. And beneath that, a stack of old yellowed photographs. The photos were the most chilling part. They were all portraits of children, dating from what looked like the 1960s. None of them were smiling. They all had the same haunted, vacant look in their eyes. On the back of each photograph was a name and a date. Tom and Sarah recognized one of the names immediately. It was a local boy who had vanished without a trace in the fall of 1968. His disappearance was a local legend, a ghost story told to scare kids. But this was real. Suddenly, the cold, secret room under their house took on a much more sinister meaning. The chair, the scratches on the wall, the box of trophies, this wasn't a cellar. It was a prison. The Millers immediately called the police. When the detectives arrived, they were initially skeptical, but the secret staircase and the contents of the box quickly changed their minds. The house became a major crime scene. Forensic teams spent weeks excavating the sub-basement and examining the evidence. The investigation uncovered a horrifying truth. The original owner of the house, a man named Arthur Finch, had been a seemingly quiet, reclusive bachelor who lived there until his death in the early 1980s. He was a monster, hiding in plain sight. The sub-basement was his workshop of horrors. The tally marks on the wall corresponded to the number of children whose photos were in the box. The discovery brought a dark chapter of Maple Creek's history to a close, providing long overdue answers to families who had spent decades wondering what had happened to their children. For the Millers, their dream home had become a monument to an unspeakable tragedy. They couldn't stay there. The knowledge of what had happened within those walls, right beneath their feet, was too much to bear. They sold the house at a significant loss to a developer who, under the guidance of the town, demolished it. They didn't want any other family to live under the shadow of what Arthur Finch had done. Today, a small community garden sits on the lot, a place of life and peace built over a site of unimaginable darkness. A quiet memorial to the victims and a stark reminder that sometimes, the most terrifying secrets are the ones buried right below the surface. The basement that wasn't there turned out to be more than just a structural anomaly. It was a tomb, a time capsule of a town's forgotten nightmare, unearthed by a faulty furnace and a homeowner's curiosity. It makes you wonder, doesn't it? What secrets might be hiding behind the walls of your own home? Thanks for joining us on Hollow Street. If you have a story you think we should investigate, let us know in the comments. And don't forget to subscribe so you never miss an episode. Stay safe and always check your blueprints.